Good morning again, guys. It is still Monday, and sun's coming up here, and I'm getting to see how much snow I got. We got a dusting, but I'm west of the Adirondacks, if you will, the Blue Ridge Mountains, whatever it would be. So y'all have a general idea where I am north of Knoxville. So it's pretty outside, but it's not like we've got all the snow and I've still got power and everything's good. But now that the holidays are over, it is time for me to get ready for my favorite time of year, which is gardening time. Y'all know that. But I want to talk about something today that kind of goes into what I mentioned in my predictions for the year. Okay. And that was the one that was out in my, how did I put it? It was number 10. It was a gut feeling, and there's going to be water issues this year. Now, I'm on a well. That's all fine. As long as I got power, I got water, okay? Because I still haven't figured out how to hook up my well to a solar generator. Yes, there's a project to do. And of course, I'm, like I said, a couple of minute walk from the lake, and that's all fine and dandy, but unless I feel like hauling buckets of water, that's a problem. And I've mentioned to y'all that I'm going to put a pond in this year, which going to be fun. Fortunately, I know somebody with a bulldozer. But that takes time. So, here's the thing. How do you store water? How do you get water? And common sense says rain catchment. Now, what I want to tell you here is this, and I know there's a bunch of you guys, Colorado, California, everything, there's other places too, where rain catchment is illegal, or you're only allowed to catch, I think it's somewhere in California or whatever, you're only allowed to catch 110 gallons a year or something like that. Like there's some rain catchment police out there measuring how much water you got. Okay. But here's the catch. This could very easily be a gray man principle. And I've told you guys many times, what you want to do with your property is camouflage everything you can. Now, again, like I've said before, it's pretty hard. You can't really camouflage a garden. Somebody's going to see it's there. But your security, you can camouflage that. I've told you guys about planting the trees around, and eventually when they get big enough, I'm going to put wire in there so nobody can get through. Nobody will ever see it. But so water catchment, how can you camouflage it? Well, this is one of my projects for it's cold. And because rainwater is much better to water your gardens with, at least, than tap water, or in my case, well water, because I've got very hard well water, I want to use more of that fresh water. So I want to show you a couple ideas of things you can do. And it's not difficult, okay? You don't need to have master skills or anything like that to do this. But let me show you something first here, and just to give you an idea. I think it was on Saturday's live stream, I had mentioned to you guys skills and all that. That's the cabinet I was talking about that I built that is all out of pallets. Okay, obviously the hinges and the handles aren't, but everything, all the wood is out of pallets. I cut the pallets down, I sanded them down, I made them to size, and basically it's all held together with biscuit joinery, okay, which isn't a real tough skill to learn, okay. But I just want to give you the idea. What I'm talking about is not difficult, and it could be very pretty when you're done. Okay, so back here over to my little seat. But so using that same concept to create a water catchment system is actually pretty easy. You see a lot of people, I've got, this big blue barrel out in the backyard, or something that's connected to the gutters or something, which is very obvious that it is a water catchment system, and that'll get you caught, okay? Not a big deal. So what about camouflaging it? And, you see people say, oh, get an old whiskey barrel or whatever. And yeah, you can find those. I've got one that's actually used for decoration out on the front porch that we got a few years ago back when we were in Vegas from somebody who was coming out from California with them. Okay. But even then, I think it still cost me $70 or something like that. It was just strictly for decoration. I'm going to show you a picture here real quick. So take a look at this. Okay. What I want you to see here is this is just your typical blue barrel. Somebody cut the top off of it. Okay. Put trace a circle out, cut a circle of wood or, 2x6s, 2x12s, whatever, and, glue them together, biscuit them together, and make a bottom. And then you could just take slats from a pellet and put it up the sides. Now, it's still going to somewhat look like a barrel, okay? So this is how you do something to change it. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you a different picture. So take a look at this. On the right side of the picture, you're going to see what would be the completed barrel. And on the left side is basically a tabletop. Okay, now how many people have ever seen a barrel with a square top? You don't. Okay, it doesn't look like a barrel. Put that top on there, and if you see the triangles, what I'm going to do with those triangles is put them on, it could be a 1-degree angle pitched into the center. Okay, that circle in the middle is a hole. That'll give me the entire surface of there to let that water drain into the barrel. Okay, put a piece of screen on the bottom of the cover, if you will, keep the bugs out, keep the leaves out, whatever would be, and you've got a nice decorative piece of furniture out in your yard that nobody really notices. You put it on that 1-degree bevel, that'll let all the water run in there, but you could still put a glass iced tea or whatever on there, a plant or whatever, and nobody'd ever know the difference. Okay. Now, the other thing somebody's going to come up and say is, well, gee, how are you going to get the water out? You need a water spigot or something like that at the bottom. And then that makes it obvious it's a water catchment system. So there's a way around that one too. Now, I'm not sponsored by this. It's just something I have. I'm going to show you, and I'll put the link to this down here too. It's a little thing called turbo pump. You might have seen the commercials for it on TV or something in the past. I've got these things, okay? And they actually work great. I've got one that I use for water, and I've got one that I use for gasoline. It's a hell of a lot easier taking a 5-gallon can of gas, putting this thing in there and let it pump the gas into my lawnmower, into my truck when I'm rotating my gas, whatever would be. So you can do something like that. This thing works really cool. They're cheap. It's like $20 for 2 of them. Runs on some, I think they're AA batteries, might be AAAs. But the thing works great. Okay, good prepper tool to move fluids, whatever would be. So you lift off your top, you drop that in there, you pump some water into your sprinkling can, and off and running you're going. I'll give you another picture, if you will, okay? So when, if you don't want to nail it all together or whatever, but I'd still suggest nailing the bottom, then on the top, take a look at this. You can just wrap it with a nice piece of rope, and now you have a very pretty yard ornament, if you will, that nobody has a clue what's going on. You get, let's say 3 of these around 55-gallon drums. Okay, there's 165 gallons of water that you can feasibly store. Now, if that's a little bit too much work, you don't want to do that, get the pallets. Here's a real easy way to do this, and you can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever, and get some blinds, like the bamboo blinds, and literally wrap it right around, and you've accomplished the same thing. You've completely disguised this barrel, and now it just looks like a table out there. Like I said, put a plant on it or whatever it would be, and it's just decorative. And you have a way to store water. Why is this important? Okay, and I want to give you this. We all know it doesn't rain like clockwork. The average, a garden needs about 1 inch of water a week. Sometimes you get 2 inches of rain. Got 2 inches of rain through these storms, 3 inches of rain through these storms the other night. Okay, so that would have been plenty for the week. That'd have been good. But I also remember a time in 2019 where we went 54 days without rain. Got to water the garden. If water is at a premium, or if you have no way, municipal water is turned off, power's out, whatever it would be, okay, you're going to need water. If a garden needs 1 inch of water a week, give you this, a 32 square foot bed needs, okay, that's a 4x8 bed. It's not big by any means. Needs 20 gallons of water per week. That'll get you 1 inch of water. Okay, 20 gallons of water. Store a 55-gallon drum. Okay, you've got almost 3 weeks worth of water stored. You store 3 of those, you've got almost nine weeks worth of water stored. But that's for one 4x8 bed. Now, I look at me. I've got 3 beds that are 16 by 24 and one that's 24 by 40. I need a whole lot more than 20 gallons a week. So I need a way to store a whole lot more water. Hence the reason for the pond. Okay. But these are just some ideas of ways that you can camouflage your water storage that nobody's going to realize that the bad guy's looking for water in an SHTF situation, but more importantly, the HOA, if you live there, who's saying, you can't store water. Okay, think of some creative ways to collect it and hide it. Nobody's ever going to look at a table and go, gee, that's full of water. Project for you guys. For all of those of you that are itching to do something in the yard, because this is something you can do in the garage or your shop or the barn or wherever in the cold weather, getting ready for spring. Just a fun one for you. Have a good one. If something comes up in the news today, we'll see you. Other than that, I just thought I'd share this one with you. Have a good one, y'all. Pinball out.